Alright, welcome to part 4 of the midterm geometry review. This time we're going to do questions 37 through 45. Starting off with number 37. It says, which circle is inscribed in a triangle? So this one actually kind of gives you a very good clue on it whenever it says in a triangle. Now again, that technically is not why this answer is the same way. Inscribed goes with the same thing that we had talked about with in center. So if you remember the in center, if you actually remembered it, it was it split the angles and was congruent to sides. So what that's really saying is that we want something that would show that it's congruent to all the sides from that center point. Okay, best thing we know that's congruent all the way around is a circle. Now, again, as I said, there's a very nice hint in the original word, inscribed in a triangle. From the center of the circle to the sides would be the same. Therefore, there's only one of these that is from the center to the sides the same, and that's the circle that is in the triangle, as it basically said. So our answer on this one would be circle Z. Again, it's very very good with the wording on it, so you can actually see it. But again, in a triangle means inside, so that works very good for you. Alright, so the same thing applies for number 37, where now we want it circumscribed about it. So if you remember, circumcenter was the opposite. So the circumcenter would have split the sides and is congruent to angles. Okay, so splitting the sides and being congruent to angles works for that one. But again, nice little key on this is about angle R, our triangle RST. So we're looking at triangle RST. So here's triangle RST. You want to know which one of them is around RST. So the only circle that goes around RST is circle in. Your answer would be circle in. Alright, so on number 39, we already know that this shape is a parallelogram. It wants to know what is the least additional information we need to prove that it is a rectangle. So basically we're going to try to see which is the least amount of information we can be given, and does it still prove that it's a rectangle. So I'm going to just start off and go straight to the problem that has the least actual thing. So A says both pairs of opposite sides are congruent and all angles are right angles. So that's a lot of things there, so I don't think we're probably going to lead towards that one. Alright, so let's look at B, and it just says angle T is a right angle. So all that's basically saying is that we have one angle that's a right angle. Okay, but since it's a parallelogram, we know that opposite sides are parallel. So the opposite angles are congruent, making that 90 degrees. The consecutive angles have to add up to 180. So what's 180 minus 90? Well, that's 90 as well. So just by that one angle being 90 degrees, we showed that all of the other ones are 90 degrees. Therefore, we know it's a rectangle. And that's the shortest way of doing it. Number 40 says, how can coordinate proofs be used to prove two lines parallel? Well, coordinate proofs are the ones where you're using the order pairs x like 1, x or y1, and x or 2, y2, and you're comparing to see how they are. Now if we're trying to do the being parallel, what are we looking for? Well, we want them to have the same slope, so we want slopes the same. Now if we wanted them to be I don't know, perpendicular instead, we want the slopes to be opposite reciprocals. And it's just a matter about what we're actually looking for on this one. Alright, number 41 wants us to find the area of the figure. So we're really worried about this. So if you really look at this at a whole, you kind of recognize that this is kind of leaning as being kind of a triangle but misses a little section. But the easiest way on this is we have a triangle for it. So the triangle, the bottom ends up being 6 units long. And it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 6 by 8. Okay, so you probably should be familiar with the area of a triangle. The area of a triangle formula is base times height divided by 2. So our base on this one is 6. Our height is 8 divided by 2. 6 times 8 is 48. Divided by 2 gives us 24. But the figure is not just that triangle. We have these other squares here. But the good thing is each of these squares is 1. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All we got to do is take 7 away from that. It gives us a total of 17 units squared. And that's the final answer. Again, base times height divided by 2 for a triangle, then take away the other parts that were already taken out. Alright, number 42, it says, what's the perimeter of square DEFG if the coordinates of D, E, and E are 0, 0, and 3, 0? So, D is at here, and E is at this point here. Now, if I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at square DEFG, so just drawing a quick one. DEFG. Now again, it does not have to be in that order, but notice that DE is a side. Okay, so on a square, all the sides are the same. Okay, so if we know the length of one side, we should know all the lengths of the sides. Perimeter is just adding up those sides. If I was to go from D to E, I've got to just go 1, 2, 3 spaces. So that means that this is 3, this is 3, this is 3, this is 3. Easiest way is 4 times 3. Total is 12 units. Again, it's fairly straightforward, just has those values. Alright, so number 43 wants to do the same thing, but now we have a parallelogram. So we still can count the ones that are going up and down. So this goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and that would be matching up with the side opposite of it. However, the problem comes into it whenever we're talking about the sides that are slanted. So the slanted sides, we have to actually do what we were doing at the very first of this review. Figure out how long that is. The easiest way is to make a right triangle and then do Pythagorean theorem. So this right triangle goes up 2 and it goes right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we're going to do Pythagorean theorem with that. 2 squared plus 5 squared equals, and we'll say x squared. 4 plus 25 equals x squared. 29 equals x squared. Square root. Alright, and square root of 29 is roughly 5.4. So now if I know that this is 5.4, I know that this side's 5.4, I can just start adding up. So 5.4 plus 5.4 is 10.8 plus 4 plus 4. So that ends up being 18.8 units. And all you have to do for parameters is add them all up. Alright, number 44. On this one we have another triangle. We gotta find the area of this. Now for area, again, area is base times height divided by 2. Well, good thing about this one is we have this flat line here, which we can find how long it is by counting. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there. Now, for it to be use base and height, you need a right angle here. So if I just go straight up from here to the point, I have a right angle. Basically, just drew the altitude. So that goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 is the base, 5 is the height. 5 times 5 divided by 2. 25 over 2. Answer is 12.5 units squared. Again, fairly easy, fairly straightforward. All you're doing is looking at the picture and figuring out what the base and the height are. You don't even have to do distance for me. You don't have to do any of that funny stuff. It's that picture right there for you. Alright, and now we've met to the last problem, where now we're going to find the length of each side of the park and then round to the nearest 10. So on this one, we've got the problems that we're looking at. Each of these, if we notice, is 4 here, which only goes 2 spaces. So this is actually 2 spaces, and then the spots in the middle are 1. So if I'm actually starting here at A, I count over, counting to here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the bottom is 12 units. Now we have to do the same thing for everything else. So we'd have to do Pythagorean theorem again here. So if I'm going over, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 at the top, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the side. So that's 8 and 4. So if I want to do that one, it would be 4 squared plus 8 squared equals x squared. 16 plus 64 equals x squared. Okay, so 16 plus 64 is 80 equals x squared. We're going to go to our calculator and say the square root of 80 is 8.9. So that gives us this side. Now we still have more that we have to do. We already know that the height of this one would be 8 because it matches up the other side. But the other way, the width, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 by 8 on this one. So we have to set up another one. 8 squared plus 8 squared equals, and we'll go with y squared this time. 64 plus 64 equals y squared. 128 equals y squared. Square root of 128. And that's 11.3. 11.3 here. Alright, so we got all of the ones for the first part. Now we got to worry about the second part. So on this one, it's nice because we only have to really do it twice, because the ones that are opposite are going to be the same. So anyway, going up and down, it's 4. Left and right, it's 3. So it would be 3 squared plus 4 squared equals, and we'll go with a squared this time since I've already used x and y. 9 plus 16 equals a squared. And that's 25 equals 2a squared. Square root. And 5 equals 2a. So this is a length of 5, which makes this length 5 as well. For the other one, it goes up a total of 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the left and right 8. So 6 squared plus 8 squared equals b squared. 36 plus 64 equals b squared. That is 100 equals to b squared square root, and 10 equals to b. Alright, so now we found all the lengths of the sides. Okay, again, that's just doing that. We're not going to actually label all of it, we're just working through it. So the plan calls for grass to be planted to cover the areas of it. Which of these requires more grass to be planted? Explain. So if we're covering grass for it, we're doing area of it. So if we have this one, we have a rectangle that is 5 by 10. So for the area of the 5 by 10 rectangle, so the area would be 5 times 10, which is 50. So for the rectangle, it's 50. Now for the triangle, we would end up using the base and the height. So the base we know is 12. The height we know is 8 over 2. Base times height divided by 2. 8 times 12 ends up giving us 96. 96 divided by 2 is 48. So out of these, the rectangle would be the one that is bigger. So therefore it would need more grass. Now when they're talking about the fence, we're going to add up all the sides. Fence would be the perimeter. So if I do it for the rectangle would be 10 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5, which is a total of 30. Alright, but for the triangle, we would do 12 plus 11.3 plus 8.9. So 12 plus 11.3 plus 8.9 gives us a total of 32.2. So if we're talking about which of us is a longer fence, the longer fence is the triangle. Alright, so this was the final question on our geometry midterm review. Alright, feel free to go back and watch any of the videos and double check. Watch them multiple times so you make sure you understand what there is. There's a reason why this is done for you, so you have an idea of how to work the problems, and you have the opportunity to go double check. Again, y'all have the finals pretty soon for it. Do the best you can. This is meant to help you. Utilize it as much as you can. Okay, make sure that you are actually doing this. Make sure that you're paying attention with it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.